Hi there, welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today we walk you through your 2021 KZ Escape 201BH. We are just going to start at the back of the unit here. If you notice up top, you're pre-mounted for an observation camera. If you'd like to get set up with that, it would be as simple as contacting your parts department. They'd be more than happy to help put together a quote for you. It's going to allow you to see behind you while traveling and of course while backing up, which is the most important part. Other than that, you got your spare tire located right in the back here, and then cable satellite hookup as well in case you were using that. And then inside the bumper tube, pulling on that cap, typically that's going to be where you want to store your sewer hose after your first use. We do have a brand new one located inside the front compartment, which is why it's not in here yet. But after your first use, it's probably the best place to keep it. You got a stabilizer jack in all four corners of the unit. The way they work is you're just hooking up your 3/4 inch drive tool to your 3/4 inch drive nut, running this foot down to the ground. Once the foot does contact the ground, just give me another 1/8 turn to snug it up. It's going to take any bounce or sway you see we have in the unit right now away. Right up from there, you get your sewer outlet. Take that cap, twist it off. Your sewer hose will have the same ears, connect right into place. Then you got your gray valve and your black valve. You always want to empty your black valve first. This can be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. And then of course you can come behind that with your gray valve, typically a little cleaner water filled from your sinks and your showers. City water connection right here, so if you're at a site with service, you can just thread a garden hose in there, turn it on. We'll pressurize all those lines without the need to run your water pump. Right here you do have a fridge service port, so there's not much you need to worry about back there. And then you get your 30 amp service cord. Today it's just the shop cord. Your cord will look exactly the same. You take a note of that notch there. It lines up with this notch on this side. Once that's lined up, 8 turn, lock it in, and then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down if you follow that cord back. You have your standard 30 amp plug in. Most campsites should have this. You can plug right on in, but let's say you're at home and you want to run your fridge, or your campsite only has 15 amp service, which is your standard 15 amp outlet. We do include that adapter. Just keep it in mind whenever you are using it, you're not going to be running your air conditioner inside. It realistically is just to run your fridge and your lights. Coming a little bit further up ahead, your first sided storage compartment. That's where you're going to find your power cord, of course, and then just some storage space. Right around front of the unit, you get your battery located inside this box here. Propane tank right at the front, counterclockwise like any standard barbecue to open up the flow of propane. Tongue jack at the front. Coming over here, pre-mounted for a Furrion. If you have a portable Furrion solar panel, you can just plug it in on there and it would automatically charge your batteries. But you do have to have that panel already. Standard starter kit, of course, comes with a 15-foot water hose, 10-foot sewer hose, as well as that 15 amp park adapter, some other miscellaneous goodies. This guy right here is going to be for those stabilizer jacks. Like I said, you have the manual tool. If you are using an impact to run them up or down, please feel free. It's nice and easy and convenient, especially with today's age. Keep in mind whenever you are using it, keep in mind how much torque you're putting on them, as you do run the risk of bending them. Main entryway door, which I'll get to in a second. You got your furnace exhaust. Noticing it is underneath the awning, so of course if you go to fire up your furnace, always try and double check outside. Make sure there's nothing in front of it or close to it that's going to burn or melt. A couple outlets, and then you do come to your fresh tank fill. So if you're out boondocking, campsite doesn't have water, that's where you're going to fill up that fresh tank. Hot water service port right here in the back. Pull this, pop this right out of place. 1.1/8" drain bolt right down there at the bottom. Pressure relief valve. So whenever you first get to your campsite, it's always wise, give that pressure relief valve a shot, crack. There should be a shot of water coming out of there letting you know that the tank's full. Of course, we got it winterized because it is winter here in Manitoba, so that's why there's no water coming out of there right now. Line the guy up, lock it back in place. And now for the best part, we can't take a step on inside. Take that assist handle, push it up, hold it at 90 degrees. That'll allow it to lock into place. That'll allow you to open up your door. You have to have your door open all the way, get your stairs down. Pull that blue thing, unlocks it. That'll allow those stairs to start making their way towards you. You do have adjustable feet for your campsite. Just, of course, using that pin, locking into the corresponding spots. The end goal is to try and get this black catch plate as close to silver catch plate as possible, so that way that door can go in and out freely without binding or rubbing. Now, for the best part, taking a step inside, off on the left is that fire extinguisher, which is just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. A couple light switches right here on the wall first off. One light switch turns on some main living space lights so you can see what you're doing, and then that other light switch turns on that nice LED light on the outside. Brings me to our awning control. Push and hold that out button. This awning's gonna start making its way out. Now today, unfortunately, we don't have enough space to put that awning all the way out, as just not a wide enough bay. But typically when that awning is at its full extension, you see the back middle tube where the flap hang down. Sometimes that flap can get stuck, so you might just have to retract a couple feet and put it back out again for it to come down. That's all we're going to be able to go out today, because of course you do want to be visual and mindful when you're pushing it out, making sure it's not running into anything. So now if we're going to start reading, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down at the center, changes the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to now run off. Now if you like that angle better because it's going to allow for more shade underneath, of course you can do the same thing with the rear arm. Just make sure that before you bring them in, you do run these bars back to straight to their natural resting positions. That way you can travel in and out without the risk of binding on anything. And now you're going to see when it's out, it does act exactly like a wind sail. So when the winds do start picking up, it's always a good idea to bring it in. That way, again, you don't run the risk of bending your arms or ripping your fabric. Push and hold the in button, the awning starts making its way in, but we won't bore you with that. Once the arms contact the side of the trailer, the motors will automatically cut out. Next, you get your slide room control. Now, I always tell every customer that's always a good idea, especially when you first get to your campsite. Of course, making sure on the outside, the slide out has enough room to go all the way out without running into anything. And then, of course, naturally, things do tend to shift during travel. So I always like to make sure that there's nothing that's shifted that's going to get caught in between the slide out and the wall, catching any damage. And with this unit, it is so nice and accessible. It is so easy just to do that quick check. Saves you a little bit of hassle in the long run. After that, push and hold that out button. Slide out will start making its way out. Once that slide out is at its full extension, you can hear the motors wind up and click. So you heard the clicking, so now you know that it's at its full extension. So now if you want to be extra cautious, you can just run your hand between the slide out fascia and the wall, making sure that you feel that seal. That way you're sealing out any moisture from making its way in. Now that we're inside the trailer, the rest of the lights are going to be on their own center push buttons. So of course, as you find them, feel free to use them. We already got a TV mount here, so in case you want to mount a TV, mount is already here for it. Perfect. Just keeping in mind the size that you do put on here. You're going to be limited just due to where you have to mount it. Up above it, you got a couple coax outlets. There's this little black button right next to it. Pushing it turns on that green light. That's turning the antenna on the roof. Now that's also improving radio frequency and cell phone frequency. So we recommend leaving it on during camping, but of course trying to remember to turn it off whenever you're not using the unit. That way it doesn't draw any excess battery power. Now at the front of the unit, we have what's called the Murphy bed system. So it's currently set up in your couch seating area, where if you have people out, they can sit down, all that good stuff. But once it comes to the nighttime, it's so easy to get that bed out. You just have to pick up on the foot of the couch. The bed automatically folds down. And then you just come over here, undo both latches on either side. The bed is going to start making its way down. This little fascia board folds out, which allows it to hold its place. And now you have your bed all made up, ready to go. That back window there, nice little extra light coming in. You got regular plugins on one side, USB plugins on the other. Fire exit for the units right here. Pull this red tab, screen's gonna pop right out of place. At that point, you take that handle, fold it, pull it up, push it out, pop on out of the unit. Now, of course, trying to go feet first, but just keep it in mind, if there is a fire, getting out as quickly as possible is what's most important. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. They just kind of sit where you leave them. This area here, the dinette area, beautiful seating space for eating and drinking. Let's say you had some extra friends come out that don't fit in the bunk space, or the bunk space is already occupied. You can fold this down into a bed. You just have to remove the feet from underneath the tabletop. The tabletop sits on this nice ledge here. Then you just take your back cushions, fill in the center, and you have yourself another bed. In this area here, you get your kitchen. It's a beautiful little kitchen spot. Now I'm going to go over some propane notes quick, just because the stove's right here. Now, unfortunately, I forgot my lighter, so we're not going to be able to get that lit, but I always tell every customer I talk to, especially when it comes to propane, if you've had the bottle off the front of the unit, or of course if you've swapped it out, that allows air into the system. Once air makes its way in, it has to be purged out. Now you're probably wondering why I'm telling you this. I'm telling you this because I always recommend firing your stove as soon as you get to your campsite. It's just that full shot way to purge the system, so that way when you do go to try to fire up your furnace or your water heater, they light the first time, because those will only try and light themselves a couple times, and if they don't sense a flame, they're going to throw a fault code at you, and if you don't know what the fault code means, it can throw a little wrench into your weekend. Now, of course, whenever you are using this stove, as soon as you turn this gas valve on, it's always a good measure to have a lighter already lit next to the burner with your face held back, so that way, as the air is coming out, it's not going to light, but as soon as gas does start flowing out, it lights right away, instead of allowing it to build up. And then if you did hit that lighter and your face was close by and there's that buildup of fumes, there is going to be a minor combustion, and if your face again is close by, you're going to lose some eyebrows and eyelashes. Just be safe whenever you are using this. It is a gas stove. Now, because it's a gas stove, you got your LP detector right here near the ground. If that guy does ever start going off, don't panic. Just turn off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit, open up some windows and vents, and get some fresh oxygen inside of here. Other than that, it is your pretty standard. You get your household microwave, storage all around. Just of course, whenever you're using any of the storage, being mindful of drains, water lines, and wiring. Sound system, zone 1 and zone 2 will be the only thing that are different, and that's just for outside, inside speakers. Down below, this is going to be the main furnace output for the unit, so it's going to put all its air out of here. The thermostat, which controls that, is over here. So it's going to tell you what the room currently is down there at the bottom. Then you've got this little tab. Click it to the right. That turns the furnace on. Again, important, you already have the system purged, just makes it that much quicker to fire up, especially when it comes to your fridge, but we're not there yet. Clicking that to the left. Oh, that off. The video. Clicking that back to the left does turn it off. Now the furnace doesn't turn off right away. It always runs for an additional 3 minutes to allow itself time to cool down as an added safety feature. Now above my head is where you're going to find the air conditioner. Right here, you got this temperature selection knob. I typically just leave it in the blue. There's no heat pump installed on this. The red doesn't actually work. If you leave it in the red, it's just going to act as a fan. The fan setting knob is on this side. You got two low fan settings. That's just moving air around using the air conditioner. No heating or cooling involved. And then you get to a high fan. Again, that's just a high fan moving air around. No heating or cooling involved. And then once you get into low cool or high cool, that's when the air conditioning takes into effect. So it's going to start cooling the air as it's pushing it out. 2 intake screens here. You always want to make sure you give those a check every couple weeks. Just make sure they're not all clogged up with dust. If they are, give them a shot of compressed air just to blow them off, or a quick vacuum. All the way to the left turns that off. You can choose the direction of the air just by opening and closing the louvers on each end. Over here, you got your fridge. Push and hold the power button. Push and hold the power button. That's going to turn it on. Give me a second. I assure you it does work. I just had it working earlier. There we go. Turns on. They are push buttons, so they're a little sensitive. So if your finger didn't work like mine, just try another finger. Give it a second. Whenever you're in the A, it's an automatic. So that means it's going to first search for shore power. Once shore power is taken away, it'll automatically switch over to gas. Now, with that being said, it's extremely important that if you want that to work properly, again, this fridge will only try lighting itself a few times before it'll throw a fault code if it doesn't light for a fail to light. So again, making sure the system's purged just means that this would automatically switch over properly. Now, if you want it to run solely on gas, you just have to push and hold that button again. Keep tapping it, and then you get to that little liquid mark. Now that's using gas. Whenever you do fire it on gas, let's say you're going for a trip, you're driving somewhere, and you just want it to run solely on gas so that it's not sitting here warm, It's always a good measure that once you turn the fridge on, stick around for about 5 minutes just to double check that it's actually running. Because again, if there was a purging issue for to say, and this thing failed to light, it'll start booping right away, booping and beeping at you, and it'll give you a failed to light sign. So then you can come and check. Because nothing's worse than thinking your fridge is on and it's not. But yeah, and then your temperature selection is over here, so the amount of snowflakes, the colder it gets. Fridge and freezer combo. I'm just turning this fridge off quick. Sorry. Now you see what I mean by, it could be a little finicky, so don't be discouraged, but we won't waste your time on video. Down below, you get that fuse panel. Whenever a breaker trips, it'll sit in the middle, so you just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. All your corresponding fuses are on the right. Then last but not least, we are taking a step on into the bathroom. The light switch is right above my head. Basic bathroom space. On the wall here, you're gonna have your main GFI plug. 90% of your outlets are ran through GFI, so it's very important that if you do plug into something and it doesn't work, always just double check that this isn't tripped. Sometimes it can trip for the oddest reasons. And then you get your monitor panel system over here. Hit the button, tells you the corresponding level of each tank as well as the battery. Then your water pump switch, which obviously draws out of your fresh tank, and then of course your water heater switch. If you turn that on, that fault light's gonna come on. At this point, the water heater is gonna try lighting itself 3 times. If on the 3rd try it doesn't light, this fault light's gonna stay on. At that point, you just have to turn this button off, wait about 3 minutes, and then try turning it back on, because again, it could be a purging issue. So if something propane doesn't light the first time, always try and light it a second time. But that is gonna be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.